Hey guys, I'm going to show you some of the capabilities that we have built in GIS for boundary reviews. And first I'm going to start off by showing you kind of the overall concept using One Smart Park online. But a lot of this work will be done in the field, of course, as you do your boundary reviews. So first I'm at our Smart Parks Mapping Hub site, and I'm going to sign in using my ArcGIS online login. If you don't have one of those, go ahead and shoot an email to Andrew McDonough and he can get one for you. And when you sign in, you will see One Smart Park show up, and you're going to click that. It's going to open up the online application that we've built. And it may take some time to load because there is a lot of data in here. But go ahead and zoom into your park. I'm going to zoom into red clay for today's example. And just to clean it up a bit, since we're only focused on boundaries today, I'm going to turn off a lot of these layers. There we go. And if you see on the map, we have boundary markers, and now we have boundary review lines. So there's many ways you can do your boundary reviews, and we're not really telling you this way or that way. Just use whatever method works best for your day-to-day work and your team. So I'm going to show you two different examples, but you can also use both at the same time if you think it's helpful. So first we have boundary review points, and we have been over this before, but just to do a brief overview, these are like what you see in the field: the carcinite posts, the painted trees, the little signs. Those are those markers that you're individually recording in GIS. And you can also record the status of those. So if a tree falls down and the marker is on it, you can go back and know exactly where to replace that marker. And so these are symbolized by your date of review. So if you have reviewed these markers in the last year, they will be green. 1 to 2 years is yellow, and over 2 years will be orange. And then any kind of boundary encroachment, you can mark in this layer too, and those are those red flags. We've also got some feedback from field staff that they would prefer a lines layer over individual markers. And so we've added this boundary review layer, and it is symbolized very similarly with the date of review, changing that color. And you can see that on the southern border of red clay. And so like this has been reviewed in the last year, 1 to 2 years, and this is over 2 years. So kind of visually tells you what needs to be reviewed next. So one of the main benefits of using the boundary review lines layer is that you can go ahead and assign boundary reviews to certain rangers before going out into the field. And then all they have to do is click on their section in the field, update the date, mark any kind of boundary issues they find along the way, and they're done. They're not having to update each individual marker in the field every time they review it. Although some parks may find that necessary, you can use the lines layer as kind of a quicker way to visualize boundary reviews over time. And so, for example, if I click on the green line, you'll see that this is Leah's boundary patrol, and it was done in 2025. But this orange one over here hasn't been done since 2022, and that's Andrew's. And so Andrew would go out into the field, he would walk his section that he's used to walking, and he would click on this line and update the date of review, either on this application using the editing pane, or he could do it in field maps like I'll show in a little bit. If you're wanting to do this ahead of time and pre-plan those sections out, you can do so by using this edit tab, and under create features you'll type in boundary, and we're wanting to create a boundary review line. And you'll expand settings, and you want to turn on enable snapping and enable feature to feature. And then under snapping layers, you're going to scroll down to Tennessee State Park boundaries, and you're going to check that box. So basically that says my new line, I want it to snap to the boundary. Instead of me guessing where that boundary is, it's going to snap directly to the other feature. Okay, and you'll see that as you start to draw your line. So I'm just hovering over this vertex of the boundary, and I'm going to click once on this first dot, and then I'm going to go down to my next vertex. I'm clicking once again, and then on this last vertex right here, I'm going to double click, and now I have a boundary review line that matches my park boundary perfectly. And I'm going to type in red clay for the park name, and I'm going to choose boundary patrol. I could also map any kind of encroachments, missing markers, or where my boundary looks incorrect in the GIS data, or any other issues that I come across. So this layer can be used for many types of things, just like the point layer. So keep in mind, if you ever come across these issues, you can map them as lines now. So I know, for example, that this section of boundary hasn't been touched since 2021. And so I'm going to assign it to Andrew and create. And so now if I come out of this editing and go back to my legend, you'll see that I have a new orange line along this section of my boundary that is telling Andrew he needs to review his section of the park. And once Andrew does that, he can just click on this line and update the date of review either on this application or in field maps. And so speaking of field maps, I'm now going to switch to my cell phone and kind of show you how this functions in the field. Okay, so now I am in the ArcGIS Field Maps application on my cell phone, and I'm going to open the One Smart Park field map. If you don't see that on your list, you can use that search bar at the top to search for One Smart Park, and it should come up. And so I'm just going to click on One Smart Park, and you'll see that I have offline and online maps. I'm on Wi-Fi, so I'm going to go with the online one today. And I'm going to zoom into red clay just as we were looking at online. And it's a little cluttered, so I'm going to go to my layers list at the top right. And I'm going to turn off all the layers that I am not using today. All right. And then if I was in the field and I wanted to update an existing boundary marker, all I have to do is select the marker that I am at. And I'll just click on boundary marker and click the edit pencil. And all I'm doing is updating the date of review to today. And so that's going to change that point's color when I click submit to turn green because it has been reviewed less than a year. If I wanted to add a new boundary marker, I could use the blue plus button or just click and hold on the map and choose collect here. Then I will search for a boundary marker and I will fill out the form. So this is Red Clay State Park. And this is a boundary marker and the review date is today. And I can also give it a status, and this one is existing. I'll click submit, and now I have a new boundary marker that can be updated over time. So now if you want to add a new boundary review line while in the field, you can use the blue plus button or click and hold on the map and do collect here. and you'll search for boundary review line, and you can move your crosshairs and drop points, or you can click ... and start streaming and walk your location in the field. Then you'll fill out your form. This is at red clay. And for this line, we're going to say that is missing markers along this boundary. And I reviewed it today. And if I wanted to add any notes, I can do so here. And then I'm going to click submit. And now my map is showing the area that needs 4 boundary markers installed so that I know what I need and where to go next time I go out into the field. You can also edit an existing line. So say Andrew went and did this patrol line. He's just going to open up the form to make an edit to the date of review. And so we'll say that he reviewed that boundary today and click submit. And now that boundary line goes from orange to green. Now I am back on my computer, and the park manager and any other park staff can see my edits that I made in the field immediately. And so this is a great way for you to visualize and track boundary review work over time and for your IPP even. But I do want to leave you with one comment about our boundary review data. So the data in GIS is not survey grade and should not be used to mark or dispute boundaries. Only existing boundary markers should be documented in the field, and if your boundary data ever appears incorrect or if you think you need a survey done for any unmarked boundary lines, please go ahead and collect that data for us in this layer and then shoot an email to Bill Avant in our lands team, and we'll work with Bill to get this GIS data up to date based on those legal records. Thank you guys, and always reach out if you have any questions.